guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to prep some meals to put in freezers for my mom and dad. We've been having a lot going on in the family lately. My grandmother is in the hospital and there's been a lot of long distance visits and things going on. So I thought that I would make up some meals to take to my parents so they could have meals ready to go in their freezer for times like this when you just don't want to have to think about cooking. So let me show you what we're going to make. All right, let's see what we got. I have some chicken that definitely needs to be used. Some tortellini. Some ground beef. Okay. Let's see, I've got this big old bag of broccoli. I need to use that. All right, let's see. Got some diced tomatoes, red beans, pinto beans, rice, some pasta, cheddar cheese soup. Here's a can of alfredo and some green beans. All right, we're gonna start by making a chicken broccoli alfredo. I'm gonna use my Instant Pot because this is frozen, and I'm going to get this going in the Instant Pot, and then we're gonna add this sauce to some pasta, and that's gonna use up these items from my freezer and pantry. So let's get our chicken in the pot. All right, let's add some seasoning. I'm gonna add some Italian seasoning, garlic powder, a little bit of crushed red pepper. I just like a little bit of kick. Okay, good. I added that whole big bag of broccoli, but it's going to cook down. So I'm going to put 3 big pinches of salt on the broccoli. And some pepper. Then I'm going to pour this whole jar of Alfredo in. I am going to add then in a jar of water. And we are going to cook this for, let's go, since the chicken is frozen, I'm gonna go about 50 minutes. It smells amazing. I'm gonna take this chicken breast out and cut it up into cubes. So let's do that. While I am shredding that chicken, I'm going to turn this to saute because I want this liquid to come to a boil, or the sauce come to a boil so I can do my noodles. Now that this is coming up to a slow boil, I'm gonna add what I have left of this penne rigata. I'm gonna cook this to al dente so that when it's reheated, it's not mushy. So make sure that your pasta is completely covered. You could totally do this meal on the stove top. You don't have to use the Instant Pot. I just did because my chicken was frozen. But I'm gonna let this just hang out for about 10 minutes since it's not really coming to a rolling boil yet. About 10 minutes, and then we'll put this meal together. Okay, now we're gonna add in our chicken. It kind of shredded more than it cut, but that's fine. Let's give this a stir. This made a lot of food. I bought these containers just because they're easy to use. I can write directions here. So I'm just going to put this pasta, chicken, broccoli, alfredo bake into the container, and it will be ready to take to my parents. All right, that made 2 big pans of pasta, and I wish I had mozzarella, but I don't. But I think with the broccoli, since there's broccoli in it, this will work. I've got a little bit of this cheese, this Fiesta blend, a little bit of this sharp cheddar. I'm going to top it just so that when it's rebaked, it has a cheesy top. Plus, it's using up all the things. So there we go. Waste not, want not. And there we go. 2 meals prepped and ready for the freezer. For the second and third meal, I'm going to be cooking 2 pounds of ground beef. And yes, these are 2 different brands, but we're using it up, right? So this is an 80-20, this is a 93-7. It is what it is, we're using it up. So I want to get all of this browned together, and then we're going to split it in half and season it 2 different ways. I season my ground beef the same every time I make it, and then I change the flavors as it finishes. So I've got salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and I'm going to add some Worcestershire. You know what I mean. I'm going to take these pinto beans and warm them up, and I'm going to turn them into refried beans. I think I'm going to take some of the ground beef, and I'm going to make some enchiladas because I found an enchilada packet. So let's see what we can do to make enchiladas. I found these in the cabinet. This one's been partially used. No, it's not. It was just folded. Okay, so I have a taco seasoning, and I have an enchilada sauce that was in the cabinet with these pinto beans, and I do have some flour tortillas. So I think I'm going to turn this into some enchiladas. So there are my pinto beans. I'm going to put just a little bit of this taco seasoning in there just to give it a little bit of flavor. So let's just give that a stir. All right, I'm going to let these simmer and cook, and then we're going to turn them into refried beans. Okay, the meat is done, so I'm going to separate this in half so I can make my last 2 meals. Okay, I've got half of that meat in my bowl here. I'm going to make up this enchilada sauce. It says I need 1.5 cups of water and 8 ounces of tomato sauce. So that's what we're going to do. All right, I had 1.5 cups of water. I needed 8 ounces of tomato sauce, which was about half that can. Now I'm going to add in this packet of enchilada sauce. Another thing I'm using up. We're going to give this a stir. I'm going to use this as a sauce for the enchiladas, but also as a sauce for the meat. Here's our meat. It doesn't look like a lot because it's like reflecting in this bowl, but anyway, that's 1 pound of meat. I'm going to pour a little bit of this enchilada sauce I just mixed into it. We're going to give that a stir. I also have this spicy Mexican cheese blend. I'm going to add like a handful of that in. So there's the meat and cheese mixture. And then I'm going to add in this can of pinto beans that I just sauteed. I added a little bit of taco seasoning, and I just kept stirring it and mashing it with the back of the fork, and it made this refried bean consistency. So we're going to add that to our enchilada filling. Okay, here is that filling. It smells delicious. I've got some flour tortillas. I've still got that cheese. I've got that sauce. Let's build some enchiladas. All right, I have my tortilla. Let's put some filling in. I rolled it up. I put a little bit of that sauce on the bottom. And so I'm going to probably do 3 across the bottom. And this is a deep pan, so I'm going to double stack. So I'll end up making like 6 enchiladas. There's my first 3. And let's double stack them and make 3 more. Now I'm going to pour that enchilada sauce all over the top. Yummy. And now let's sprinkle with some more of that cheese. I love enchiladas. It's one of my favorite foods. And here are our beef and bean enchiladas ready to go. These are gonna help so much this week because my mom is not gonna have to think about what she needs to eat. She's just gonna throw it in the oven. Okay, for this last recipe, I'm gonna use a recipe I saw on Kristen Stepp's channel. I will leave that linked down below. It looked delicious. It's called Cheeseburger tortellini. And so I'm going to use the other pound of that ground beef. I have a can of cheddar cheese soup. I've got some cheese tortellini. Let's do this. So I'm going to take my cheese tortellini and add it to the pan with the 1 pound of ground beef. Okay, now let's add the cheddar cheese soup. Y'all, don't sleep on this cheddar cheese soup. It is so good to have in your pantry, especially in the fall months when we're going to be making soups. This is a great addition. So here we go. I'm going to get this all stirred together. I am going to add in a can of Rotel. Y'all, this is something that I always have in my pantry because this adds so much flavor to your dishes, especially this time of year. So I'm going to add in a can of Rotel. I'm going to get this all stirred up, and then I'm going to add a cup of milk. Y'all, I don't know how, but this already smells like a cheeseburger. Yummy. All right, let's give this a stir and let this all come together. We're going to add some burger flavors. Y'all ready for this? At this point, Kristen said to add about a tablespoon of mustard, 1/4 cup of ketchup. Let's give that a stir. Oh my goodness, this smells amazing. We're gonna let this come to a simmer. It's gonna form a sauce. Y'all, I'm excited about this one. Yummy. Once this comes to a simmer, I'm going to cover and let that cook for about 20 minutes. And here is that cheeseburger tortellini. Oh my gosh, this smells so good. I'm going to get this packaged up, and this is going to be delicious. I just know. There is that cheeseburger tortellini. I have a couple slices of sharp cheddar cheese I need to use up, so I'm going to lay that on top. And here's that cheeseburger tortellini. It smells amazing. I've got this ready to go. I'm so excited for these meals. So there you have it. There are all those meals that I'm going to take to my parents just to help them out. And I really just used a lot of stuff that I already had on hand. Helped me clean out some things that I had in the freezer. And so I'm going to run over there and take that to them now. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, guys. I love you, and I will see you in another video again very soon. Bye.